Hello everybody and welcome to another mystery box function challenge. In the purple mystery box there is some math and your challenge is to figure out what it is. You can use the link in the description if you want to try this out on your own, and when you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. All right, let's start with the 0. Okay, 0 gives us 0. How about a 1? So we're getting not a number, and that is the error that's most commonly, it pops up here on the computer when you're trying to take the square root of a negative number. We put in a positive number, a 1, but maybe under the square root sign they're subtracting something, or maybe there's a negative sign in front of the x. Let's sort that out. Let's try a few more positive values first. I'll put in a 2. Still that error. How about a 5? Okay, so far nothing in the positives. Let's go negative and see what happens. I'm going to put in a negative 1. Okay, so that gives me a value. How about negative 2? And I'm going to put in negative 4. Okay, so I think we've got enough to work this out. It does look like the square root function to me. You can see this sort of slowly tapering curve. It starts at the origin. In this case, it's going off to the left instead of the right. I think that is happening because under the square root sign, we've got a negative in front of the x. So when I put in a 1, I get the square root of negative 1. That's an error here. If I put in a negative 1, well, I get a negative 1 under the radical sign. That's a positive 1. So I can take the square root of that, which should be 1. We're getting 0.5. And that means there's a multiplier on here. And I think this tells us what the multiplier is. If you get 1 when you put in negative 1 from the square root of that, if you want to get 0.5 out, you have to multiply it by 1/2. So 1 times 1/2 is going to be 1/2 or 0.5. Let's think about how that would work with negative 4. So we're going to have 1/2 times the square root of a negative 4. So negative 4 is a positive 4. That square root of positive 4 becomes 2. So we get 1/2 times 2. That equals 1. That's exactly what we get for negative 4. If I put in a negative 9, what should we get? Well, that's going to be 1/2 times the square root of a negative 9. This all becomes a positive 3, so 1/2 times 3. So that should be 3/2 if I put in negative 9. So let's try that. So negative 9. Yeah, 1.5 is the same as 3/2. So it looks like we've got this one. I'm going to look. Yeah, 1/2 times the square root of a negative x. And what that negative x does is it reflects it across that y-axis. And what the 1/2 does is it just squishes it down a little bit. Let's go ahead and graph that whole thing. You can see that shape of the square root function. Well, how did that go for you? Were you thinking square root? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.